Hello everyone, I hope you are able to view my video screen. So let's get started. So basically, on the last lecture, we have covered about in Java introduction, and then we will have an idea how we are using the Java, and then we have created Java different types such as primitive, non-primitive, these type of data types we have considered. We have created some Java variables as well. So today's lecture we are going to cover about control statements, and inside that control statement today we only talk about selection or the conditional statement. So first topic is control statement. So the first syntax is what is control statement, types of control statements, how to use those in your code. So first is control statement. What is the control statement? So I hope everyone has idea about it. The Java programs starts from main method and goes line by line. And what does line by line here simply means? Let's say this is the program. So line number 7 first execute, and then line number 8, and then line number 9, and then line number 10. So this is the actual execution order through which the things will work upon in the Java. So by using control statement, we can hamper, or you can say we can update the actual flow of a Java program, and that altering or hampering is basically known as control statement. So we can alter or we can update the flow of executions by different types. First is conditional statements, then looping, and then jumping, or you can say extras. So for today's lecture, we will be covering about the conditional statements. So conditional statements are those statements, or you can say those control statements through which we can provide a certain conditions. After fulfilling those conditions, if everything met, then only the things will work out. The conditional statements are simply also known as selection statements. So for today's lecture, we're only focusing about the condition selection statements, and we will deal with programs that you should know about it. Since you are working upon the automation testing, you doesn't bother about much about the other programs. So we will only cover 4 to 5 programs that is necessary to understand the selection statement. How does it work like this? So there are few examples which act as a selection statement. First is if statements, if else, if statements, and then nested if. So for real time things, we will be considering in automation. If statement is important, if else statement is important, and if else if statement is important. Nested if we don't bother much. So major focus will only about these things. So why we what is the syntax on this we will covering, and then we will check with some programs, and after the completion of those all programs I will relate you with the automation thing that is being done, why we are understanding the control statements logic. So the first things is the syntax on that. This is the first conditional statement that you need to have an idea. Second is switch statement. So the switch statements is being used for a selection flow to make a hamper in that. So we will check the syntaxes on those programs and then we will continue with the different thing. Looping is also known as iteration. So let's the same procedure we have doing so far. So I have already prepared this document for briefly explain you with all the different steps. So first is the selection or a conditional statement, which is today's topic. We will covering if else if, and nested if. Nested if is not part of your syllabus. For being an automation tester, you just need to focus on these three. Then we will cover about the switch statement, and then the iteration things and the jump statement will cover on the later topics. So we will do that on the later part, and now we will move to the how to use those in your code. So how does this, that simply means usage or syntax in Java that we are going to use for implementation. So we are going to check the syntaxes on that. So first is if statement. If statement in this is a boolean condition. If that is true, then only the curly braces, or you can say code part, will execute. So this is the first syntax of, or you can say, if point. In this we are providing a boolean condition, and that boolean condition can be anything. For example, you wanted to compare such that a is greater than b. Let's say you wanted to compare this kind of a condition. So if a is greater than b, that simply means this is returning some either true value or a false value. Let's say a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 20. If I compare a is greater than b, that simply means 10 is greater than 20, which is false. So that means if condition will not execute. If let's say a is equal to 20 and b is equal to 10, that simply means if I choose this, that simply means it is a correct statement. That simply means it is a true. So this code condition will execute if I provide this condition as a verification part. So same thing we will be covering on the with the programs logic. So this is the first thing that we need to understand. Second point, the syntax is if else. So same condition, if boolean condition for verification. In this there is no such failure condition has been satisfied or you have provided, but now if else conditions is being used for providing the failure conditions. Let's say this if condition will only execute when condition is true. What if condition was false? So that why we have a method, we have a techniques which is known as else. In this, if the condition doesn't meet, then this code will execute. So this is the main difference between if statement and the if else statement. If now moving on to the third statement, which is if else if. In this we have provided multiple conditions. Let's say I wanted to compare between three different variables. Let's say these are the three different variables. Let's say a is equal to this, c is equal to 30. So I wanted to check which is the largest among all those three different values. So here we are going to check if a is greater than b and a is also greater than c. That simply means a is, if let's say a is greater than b, a is also greater than c, that simply means it is true. A is greatest. But let's say b is greater than a and b is greater than c, that simply means b is greatest. Or else if both condition doesn't meet, that simply means c is greatest. So this is what I wanted to check. So this all can be checked using if else condition, if else ladder. So let's use the logic with this. So in this two different boolean condition, which is this one is being passed here, that simply means a is greatest. let's say, or if else. Now in else if condition with same logic that we need to check. If that is working fine, that simply means B is greatest. If both of the condition doesn't meet, that simply means C is largest or greatest. So this is the main difference between if, else if, or the example of the you can say syntax on that part. So these are the three different type of things that you need to know about the conditional statement or the selection statements. So let's go to the document to check whatever we have written has been attached here also. You can see the selection statement syntax is being like this: if condition meet, then the body one will execute, else the body two will execute. This is the ladder of the if else. Similarly, if else if ladder, that simply means if the condition is false or condition is true, that the code will execute. If else if the second condition will true, then the second code will execute. Else if the condition number 3 will execute only when the this condition will met. If all of those condition doesn't meet, that simply means the else condition, you can say default condition, will act as a working thing. Nested if we are not a part of your syllabus, you can just skip it because you are majorly in automation. You are going to understand, or you are going to use most of the time these three ladders in your coding sections. So we have already checked with that part. Now moving on to the last one, which is a switch statement. So in the switch statement, we are generally providing multiple conditions that will be to check if that condition is being true or not. So let's check the syntax on that part. Let's say switch is a syntax variable to be tested. So that condition we need to provide case value one. If that variable is matching, then code at the end we are breaking, so it will loop out from this switch statement and won't execute further cases. Let's say a value number 2, then value number 3, and at the end default value. So this is the main syntax of the switch statement. We will cover all this using a program for better understanding, and I will be showing you one internal question which people generally ask during an interview with related to the switch statement. So these are the syntaxes we have covered so far in the topic of conditional statement and the selection statement. We have covered these, and we also cover the switch statement. So these are the necessary that you need to know about it. So let's move on to the document, and then we'll figure out the next point. See, the switch statement is like there is a variable that we need to define. If providing that variable which we need to test, if that variable equals to the value 1, that the code first case will execute. If that value doesn't meet on this value 1, it will move to the value number 2 and move and verify and write the code whatever we have, execute the same. Then the default one, these are the basic thing. If all of the condition doesn't meet, that the default code will execute and the switch case will start terminating on that part. So this is the complete flow through which we have embedded, or you can say we have update the actual flow of a Java program, which is line by line, from line number 7, then 8, and then 9, and then 10. So we can alter this flow using these certain conditions which we have seen so far. So now moving on to the, so this is the basic theory that we have covered related to the control statements, or you can say control statements. And the topic we have covered inside the control statement is conditional statements only. We haven't looked through the iteration loops or the jumping statement that are part of the next lectures. So let's move on to the selection statements questionnaire which people generally ask you during an interview. So I have written few Java programs that you need to have an aware about it, and probably some of them you will encounter during an interview as well, or some of them that you need to know how the switch selection statements is being used to understand in the Java program for better knowledge and better coding part. So first, I have divided the 5 different programs through which you are able to understand the selection statements with the Java code itself only. So this is the IntelliJ we have. I hope everyone have downloaded their own on their own laptop and installed Java, which we have, which I asked you yesterday to do the so. So let's create a package. Let's say lecture 3. So inside the lecture 3, let's go one by one the program 1. So let's do the program 1 test. So the program 1 is basically finding the largest number between two number. So basically we need to check if I provide two different random number. Let's say I have provide a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 20. So I will need to find which number is largest, and it will print the largest number with that one. So let's say I wanted to check that value. So we can do that using if else condition as well. Let's say this is the main method. So the flow of execution start from the line number 6. Then first execution will do, let's say int a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20. So I have created two different variables, which is a and then 10. We have initialized the same as integer value type, and we have provided the value which is 10 and 20 on those two different variables. So now we can check if the condition meet or not. So we can use if else ladder to check the value. See, in the if else, we can provide a boolean condition. If that condition meet, that simply means this code will execute. If that condition doesn't meet, that other else code will execute. So same logic we are going to use here to check the value. Let's say if a is greater than b. So that simply means 10 is greater than 20, which is not true, right? So this if condition will not work. Then we need to provide the else condition. That simply means above condition in if ladder is false. So if this condition doesn't meet and this condition meet, that simply means the b is greater than a. So we can just print the value b is greater than a. And the same thing we can do here, but here we have like this, because it only comes if condition only when if a is greater than b. If doesn't meet that, that simply means it will move to this point, and that's why we are printing this value. So let's check what the output of this programs look like. See, b is greater than a because we have provided b as 20 and a as 10. Let's make it a changes and provide the a as 50 and b is equal to 20 to check if the if condition is printing or not. See, if a is greater than b is being printed out in the output as well. So this is the simple program that you need to have an idea about the selection statement. We have used the selection statements to alter the execution. I don't if the if else condition doesn't work, that simply means the flow of execution will be like this: 7 line number, then 8, then 9, then 10, then 11, then 12, then 13, and then 14. But it doesn't look like this, right? If this condition meet, then only these lines of code will execute, and it will skipping the line number 13 to till line number 16. If this condition falls, that this condition will not execute. Its flow of execution only start from the line number 13 to line number 16. So this is how we have altered the Java code execution flow. So this is the first program we have covered so far. The second thing we need to check, if I wanted to check the 3 different variables using if else logic to check if which among those is being larger. So let's use those value. Let's say I have a is equal to 50, b is equal to 20, and then c is equal to let's say 34. So this is the 3 different variables I have created. So in this condition, it is not fulfilling the complete value, because it is only verifying if a is greater than b. That simply means it is printing that value. Right now it is printing, and else condition will not work. So that doesn't bother much about it, because we are not still not find which is largest among all those. So we can make a changes and look like this. If I say if a is greater than b and also a is greater than c as well, that simply means a is greater. That means I can do like this. So for better readability, I let me add those certain conditions into a bracket value. So this is how we can check if a is greater than b and a is greater than c. That simply means a is greater than all values. But and we can also use if else conditions. If let's say instead of a is equal to b, let's say b is greater than a and b is also greater than c. That simply means b is greater than among all those values. So if both condition doesn't meet, if a is not greater than b but a is greater than c, that simply means this is working. But let's say both of the condition doesn't meet, that we can provide the value as else. In this, that simply means b is or c is greatest, because a is not greatest, b is also not greatest, that who it remains the greatest, c is the remain the greatest one. So this is the main difference between you can say if else and else if letter. We can provide multiple conditions in else if to check if the certain condition is being met or not. See, a is greater than all the values, because you can see 50 is greater than all those values. Let's make it as different. Let's say now you can see c is largest among the all those values, so else condition will execute here. See, c is greatest. Let instead of this, let's make it as 507, let's say. So you can see b is now greater this all of those other value, so b is greater than all other values. So this is the second program that you need to have an idea about it while working upon the selection statements. So we have covered so far two different programs in to understand the selection statement in Java logic. So now moving on to the third program, we can also change this logic with the multiple nested if else logic as well. But since it's not necessary to understand, because in automation perspective we are majorly focused upon all the three different ladders which we already have covered. If we have check, else if we have checked, if else if we have also checked. So these are the three different ladders that is necessary for selection statement to understand the logic. Now moving on to the to check number, if I provide a number is even or odd. So and what is even and odd? So the first point that you need to have an idea is what is even and what is odd. Let's say a is equal to 10. If that number is divisible by 2 and remainder on this left as 0, that means it's an even number. If it is not divisible by 2, is not divisible by 2 and remainder on this left is not equal to 0, that simply means it's an odd number. So same logic we are going to use to check the even out odd values in the, you can say, program itself only. So there are two different things that you need to remember about the value. So first is this and second is this. So what does this symbol represent? So the percentage represent the remainder one. If I want to check if the remainder is equal to 0, that simply means I wanted to check if that let's say a is equal to 10. That simply means a remainder 2. If that provide us value as 2, that simply means it's an even number. If a percentage 2 is not equal to 0, that simply means it's an odd number. So same logic we are going to implement here to check the value. So this is the remainder one, it is provide, and this is known as quotient. Quotient here simply means at which number it is divisible. Let's say a quotient 2. That simply means at what level 10 divided by 2 is divisible by 5 number, or you can say fifth number. So it provide a value as 5. 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5. So this is the thing that you need to know about it, the remainder and the quotient difference. If we need to check the remainder, then we are going to use the percentage. If we want to check at which number it is divisible, we are going to use the slash, or you also known as quotation. So this is the main difference with this same logic that we are going to use. Since we are checking the even and odd number, so we can only use this number. So let's check the program to check the value. So program number 3, test. In the program number 3, you can see, let's create a main method to start the execution on that. So let's say I have created a variable, let's say int a is equal to 10. You can see I have created one variable, and I have provided the value as integer with assignments of value which is 10. So now you can see if I provide a percentage to equal to 0, and what does it represent? It represent a percentage to will give us the remainder. Right now you can see 10 divided by 2, which gives a remainder as 0. If that 0 equal to 0, that simply means it's a odd number or even number. So that we can say number provided is even number. If that condition doesn't meet, that simply means like this: a will not give us remainder as 0. That simply means 0, the whatever the remainder, let's say remainder is 1. So 1 is not equal to 0, then this else condition will execute. So number provided is not an even, it's an odd number. So let's check, since 10 is a even number because it is divisible perfectly, and we are getting the remainder as 0 on that, so that means if condition will execute and else condition will not execute. So only this output will be thrown to you in the console. Let's try to check if that is working fine or not. See, number provided is even number. If I make the number as odd, let's say 15623, let's say this is the number. Since if we are trying to divide the value and get a remainder, you will get a remainder as 1. That simply means if condition will not execute, else condition will execute, and it will print this value, which is number provided is an odd number. So let's check if that is working fine or not. See, you can see number provided is a odd number is being thrown to us in the output as well in the console. So this is the third program that you need to know about for when uh, reading about the selection statement and using the Java programs. So we have covered 3 different programs so far, which is largest between 2 numbers, 3 numbers, and then even and odd. We have used different kind of a selection statement in this. We have used if else here. We have used if and else logic. Similarly, we have used here else if logic so far. Now the fourth program to check the leap year. So what is the leap year represent here? So as you right now we are living in 2025. So let's say, and how to check if this is a leap year or not. Leap year are those years in which February have 29 days. So there are conditions to check if that is working fine or not. So basically, whatever the year let's say it is divisible by 4, that simply means it's a leap year. Means, let's say 2024, which is divisible by 4, right? So that means it's a leap year. So let me show you with a calendar value to check. See, let's say go to December and then February. You can see 29 days being shown here. That simply means whenever a number is divisible by 4, that simply that year is also known as a leap year. But let's check the value for the 2000. Let's go to the 2000 year. See, you can see 2000 is also a leap year as well. But when we check 1996 value, let's say 1990, I don't know why it is okay, it doesn't support that part. See, my calendar doesn't support 1900, so let's check with the example of 2100. So let's check 2100. If I check that it is divisible by 4, and how we say that whenever a number is being divided and remainder will be 0, that simply means it is completely divisible. Let's say it is 2100 divisible by 4, that simply means it is returning a correct value, or which is a 524, and there is no such decimal value is being associated. That simply means it is completely divisible by 4. That simply means it is also a leap year. But you can see in the calendar we have seen that 2001 year in the February there is not a 29 day. Why is it? Because there is also one condition for years when there is a at the end is 00 present, that then we need to check if that year is also divisible by 400, then only we can say. See, 400, if I use 2001 divided by 400, let's do that using calculator. 2100 divided by 400, you see decimal point is being thrown to you. That simply represent that it is not a divisible by 400, then we can say it is not a leap year. So these are the two different conditions to check if the leap year is being decided by not. So first condition is divided by 400. Second condition, divide by 4. So these are the two different conditions. If that condition meet, that simply means it is a leap year. So let's do that using a program to check the value. See, let's say choose the current year, which is a is equal to 2025, right? So this is the, instead of this, let's make it as variable as year for better readability. So let's fulfill these conditions. So what does divide by 400 and remains, or you can say remainder, is equal to 0. That simply means year percentage 400 equal to 0. That simply means it is a leap year, right? This is the first condition that you need to fulfill. After fulfilling this condition, you also need to check this condition as well. Same condition, let's check using this. If that number is being divisible by 4 or not, then only you can see remainder is 0. If both condition meet, then only we can say there is no such and, there is a or between those. System.out.println provided year is leap year. Else, if that condition doesn't meet, that simply means provided year is not a leap year. So let's check. Since 2025 is not a leap year, so it will check this condition. It is not fulfilling. That's why it is printing the provided year is not a leap year. And let's check with 2100 if that condition is being met or not. See, 210 400 is being completely divisible. Okay, okay, so one condition is also left here, which is if it doesn't check with year 3, a is equal to 4, and also we need to check the same logic here when doesn't equal to 0. If both condition meet, then only we can say that is a leap year or not. See, it is not a leap year. But if I check with 2000 value, which is divisible by 400, it's a leap year. So this is the two different conditions that we need to check. But not divisible by 100. So these are the two different conditions which we need to have fulfilled for leap year to check the value. So these are the programs we have covered so far in our logic for understanding the selection statement. So now moving on to the, so far we have only used if else if ladder, if ladder, all those sort of things. So now we are going to use the last one, which is the switch statement ladder, to understand the logic here in the program. So let's go through with that program to check the calculation using switch statement. So let's go with the better program for, let's do that. Where is it? Program number 5. So far let's go before that, the program logic we have. See, I have provided the program logic here as well. Find the largest number, which we have covered so far, which if else ladder, if condition is this, else condition is this. Largest number between two different logic, which is using if else if logic. A is greater than b, a is greater than c, then it will print the largest number a, and then b, and then c. Even odd we also done using remainder logic, which is percentage one. If that is equal to 0, that simply means it's an even number, else the number is odd number. Similarly, we have checked with the leap year as well, where we have provided the two conditions. First is divisible by 400, and second condition divisible by 4 but not divisible by 100. This both condition meet, that only the leap year is being counted, else it is not a leap year. Now moving on to the last one, which is a selection, or you can say switch statement. In the switch statement, let's say I want to provide the calculator things. So calculator have these kind of a thing like addition one, let's mark it as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and then division. So these are the basic necessity that you need to provide inside a calculator. So in the Java, there is a class which is known as scanner class, through which we can accept as an input, like this we have done. So let's use a scanner is equal to new scanner system dot in. So through which we can accept whatever the input we want to check. So s out, why it is not showing the value? let me create one more class to check. Okay, main method scanner sc is equal to new scanner system dot in s out. Yeah, enter two number which you want to provide for calculation. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to provide two different numbers, let's say number one and number two, that will provide some values, and using those, and we can provide a input which it will choose. For example, I want to add those values, let's say 10 plus 10. Well, it will provide us 20. Let's say I want to multiply those values, 10 plus 20 or 10 into 20, that simply means 2000. It will return us. So that's what I'm trying to do. So let's declare two different variables, let's say num1, num2, and we can assign the value num1 is equal to sc dot next int, num2 is equal to sc dot next int. Similarly, after providing all those values, we are also want them to enter multiply plus division, you can say operations that you wanted on those numbers. So it will provide some input, so we need to declare some variables before that, and this is a symbol, so we can declare the character one, char ch. Ch is equal to sc dot next, so it is printing the char at 0, through which we have gathered the whatever the character he have written. Let's say it is returning plus, so that means number 1 and number 2 will provide a summation result. If we have entered multiply as a character, that simply means this number will multiply. If this number are minus, that simply means it will subtract the result. So these things can be achieved if I wanted to provide different multiple things, that we can use the switch statement like this you have seen so far. So let's provide the value case. Let's say it is provided value as plus, that simply means result is num1 plus num2. So this is the thing that we need to provide. Similarly, let's say it is providing, instead of plus, it is providing a subtract value, that means it is subtracting the value. Let's say it is providing a multiplication, let's say it is providing a division. Okay, so these are the four conditions I have checked, and last condition is default condition. In this default conditions, we will be providing the such that please provide something that is, or you can say code as out, please provide correct symbols. So by using this switch statement, we are providing input. If that input is matching with plus value, then this condition will work. If that condition is minus, then this code will work. If that condition will multiply, then this code will work. Let's say remove the break statement, and I wanted to show you one point that you need to have an idea before moving on further. Let's say I have executed this program to check the flow. See, it is now holding us to provide some inputs. Let's say I have provided number 10 and number 3, and now it is providing some input. Let's say I have provided input as minus. See why it is printing all the values after this. It is printing this value, which is 10 minus 10 minus 3, that means 7, and then multiplication, which is 30, and then division, 10 divided by 3, and which means quotient is 3, so that's why it is returning value 3, and also the default value is being printed, which is please provide correct symbol. So why it is happening? So it is happening because if we don't provide the break statement, then if whenever it condition matches, it will start executing other case below than that. If I provide instead of minus, let's say I provide number star, that means it will execute these lines. If I provide divide, then it will execute this. If I provide plus, then it will execute all of those values. So to break this condition, because I want to check, we wanted to provide only those numbers whenever the condition met, then it will else out the switch statement. So that's why we are using break in the end of each statement, or you can say each cases. So let's check executing the same if that is working fine with the expected result that we wanted to check. See, 10 3. Let's say I want to check minus again, so it will throws only the result is 7. Other conditions is now not execute, so only the true condition whatever we want is needs to be executed here, which is working fine here when we check with the case statement. So same logic I have been used in this program to show you the details. So these are the basic programs that you need to have an idea when understanding the selection statement on their own. Try to execute these in your own laptop, and if you find any concerns, you can just drop a comment in this video, and I will try to encounter this and provide a solution with those values. So this is the complete lecture about the selection statements, or you can say the control statements we have covered with using if else. Now only remains part is in why we are understanding those things in real time value. So let's understand why we have covered all those topics and things. So let's move on to the automation front. In automation, whenever we wanted to check if the expected condition is being true, and what does it means? Let's say I wanted to click on this, let's say Instagram. Let's open the instagram.com. Whenever this element login button is enabled, then only it can be clicked. So it means we wanted to check if, let's say, element is displayed, then only element should be clicked. So this is the condition I want to check. So same logic we are going to use in the real time thing. We first check if the element is displayed, then only we can click, else we can throw exception. So same logic we are going to use in the real time programming wise when we are dealing with the automation thing. If the element is displayed, then we can click, else throw an exception. Same thing, if let's say if the close button or you can say close pop-up will be shown to you on the website, then only you are clicking. But it is not all the time that button or you can say pop-up is not appearing all times when script is executing. So we can do like if condition, if pop-up element is displayed, then only close those pop-up, else we don't need to do anything. So this condition can be used as well. So that's why we have understand the pop-up displaying logic, and why we have understand the switch logic. Whenever we wants to perform multiple things, then we can check the value. Let's go with the example of a rest assured. Let's say you are hitting an API that is returning with status codes, let's say 200, 300, 400 and 500. So there are different status code is being returned on that API side. See, now you can use a switch statement. So we can store those codes. Let's say int code is equal to being used. Let's say this code we can use using switch statement and provide the case condition, case 200. If that code is equal to 200, that simply means response is correct. Let's say this is what I want to display. Let's say if that status code is not a 200, let's say it's a 300, that simply means response is redirecting. Let's say the case here is now returning with 400, that simply means response is client side errors. Similarly, let's say if response code is 500, that simply means response is internal servers errors. This is how we can use a switch code in rest assured logic. So that's all for today, guys. We have covered the complete understanding about the control statements, and that control statement only we have deal with the selection one, not the iteration one, not the jump statement. We have only covered the selection and the conditional statements. This is the brief introduction, and we have completely understand the syntaxes, and we have covered with some few examples of Java programs, and then we have real-time uses in the automation front. Whenever we want to check if the element is displayed, if that error code is being returned with the proper information or not, so same logic we are going to check with this. So try to execute these different programs on your own. So that's all for today. I have been, so let me close the streaming now. Thank you everyone. I hope everyone able to understand today's lecture. You can just drop a note if any doubts in the comment sections. I will try to answer that whenever I get time. So thank you. Have a great day, guys.